Vietnam this year 2019, and we see that succession planning is one of the hot topic in a lot of families these days, because the country actually opened in 1986, 1988, when the đổi mới was there. And since then, we see a number of private companies newly set up. And by now, that company already lasts for about 25 to 30 years. Yeah? And then when the new company start up, at that time, the business owner actually, at the age of 25, 30, 35, and now they come to the age of 60s, 70s. Yeah? So it means that the succession planning is one of the very critical topic everywhere in Vietnam in the private sector. Now, my rules again as a moderator today that we want to ensure that the audience, when they leave the room, you have 2 to 3 key messages to bring home, and then hopefully you can reflect it in your business. And then we have all the guests here. Alan talked about a lot of new terms, which also new to me as well, about the Pitstop, about leaders, how you need to be very adaptable, very agile to the talent. And then Nicole talked about the future of work and how the company leadership should be ready for the future of work. We have Madame Thủy here from Fulbright, and then we have Mr. Cole from Manulife. So let me just start with Madame Thủy, because I think Alan and Nicole, you may be a little bit tired. You need some pit stop now, yeah. So Madame Thủy, my first question to you: every year, this is the from the analytics. Every year, Vietnamese families sending their kids to overseas, and there's about 150,000 students now living overseas. And the spending of the families, on average, about $3 billion a year. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge amount that families in Vietnam spending for their kids overseas. And now we have Fulbright in Vietnam. So what is Fulbright University plan with regards to that context? And then any plan for you with regards to the training of the leadership of the families in Vietnam?
Okay, thank you, Minh, for a very interesting question. And then I think that this is something that in the mind of not only the business owners, founders, but then in the mind of the parents of every children in Vietnam. I know that many years ago, the dream of every family is to be able to send their kids overseas to study. And most of the parents at that time, I believe that they just want their kids to have a great education and hopefully have a chance even to stay and migrate to another country. But things have changed a lot. And Vietnam has become more like a preferred destination for a lot of people, including foreigners, doing business in Vietnam or in the region. And I am also a parent, and I know that no parents want to live far away from their children. And a lot of parents, even though they give a very brave face, saying that, okay, you pursue your own dreams, you pursue what it makes you happy. But if they have a good business, deep down, they will still want their children to continue the family tradition. So what we are trying to do at Fulbright, and because we are a very new university, all we want to do is to be able to create an option for the children and the parents in Vietnam, that if they want to keep their children in the country, they can do so without the fear that they may have to sacrifice, I think, a good education or the happiness of their kids. One thing that we did notice, that if the family want to build a good succession plan, a transition from F1 to F2. So children with the knowledge overseas and a good education, but if they lack of the roots in the country, the understanding of the country that they need to build their business, sometimes it is a big problem for that transition. And all we want to do is to offer an option so that the children can be exposed to the same quality education, but at the same time in a country that they can live together with the parents, understand how the country develop and evolve, and then seize and then take over the business without all the problems of, I think, being too far away from the country for a long time.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a very, very insightful sharing. Because during the tea break, I had a very interesting conversation with Mr. Quý from Kiến Vương company, and I learned that he has 3 children, and two of them actually also study abroad, and now are coming back to Vietnam and join the company. And he shared with me that actually all kind of the knowledge that his kids learn from overseas actually bring back to the company, and actually help the company grow very fast, because he seems acknowledge that there's a lot of what we call the new kind of terms and new kind of knowledge from there actually can support for the growth. On that part, Mr. Cole, thank you, G3. Can you share a little bit about the how you as a foreigner coming to Vietnam and work with a lot of family business and also other type of companies, and how what are the key differences between those two model, and then how actually the family business can learn from others company MNC in the.
Xin chào các bạn. Tôi là Hồ Sinh Cô. I came over to Vietnam last year, August. I'm from Singapore. I've been with the financial industry for past 20 years, working very closely with a lot of SMEs in terms of succession planning, using the financial instrument. Everywhere, every world is the same, both in Singapore or even in Vietnam. People, SME owners, the F1, they will always like to send their children overseas. They like to send their children overseas for 2 main reasons. One, of course, the exposure that you can learn from overseas. Second is the network. Because when you go overseas, you get to meet a lot of people from all over the world, and that's one of the fundamental a lot of SME is thinking. When the children get this networking done properly, they come back, they establish all the network, they can actually help their business to expand overseas. But with that kind of exposure that you get for children, what I see in terms of a family business, there's always a lot of conflict between the F1 and the F2. What happens is the F1, the risk appetite for things are much lower. There's no doubt about it. When you reach 30 years old, when you reach 40 years old, when you reach 50 years old or 60 years old, your risk appetite goes down. Your approach to things gets slower. You think about it, the way you drive your car, or maybe in Vietnam, if you drive your scooter, you drive it more slowly as you grow older. But inversely, what is different for your children, they get an overseas exposure, they see bigger things, their risk appetite is much, much bigger. The demand for things to happen is so much, much shorter. So I see for family business, a lot of such a tension between the F1 and the F2. So knowing some of these fundamental issues, some of the good practices in MNC can actually be duplicated across. Okay, there's a whole list of things that you can do. taking from the MNC good practices. One of the things is that you need to have very good formal communication. You need to formalize a lot of things. MNC, the thing about MNC is that there's very good structure. Everything is written down in contracts. So same thing for family business. You have to make sure within your family business itself, between father and son, you got to have official communication in the company. You have to have good, clear contract even between you, nephew, and whoever that's in the family. You don't have that kind of structure, you are actually going towards some kind of not pitstop, pitfall. Alright, I pass my time more to others. There are a lot of lists of things that really MNC can share and you can take reference from. Okay? And in terms of even roles and responsibility, in MNC is very clear. Under the CEO, you're the CEO, you're the Chief Partnership Officer, you take care of this, you're the Chief Risk Officer, you take care of this part of the aspect of the business. SME, the CEO is the Compliance Officer, the CEO is the Finance Officer, the son is the Human Resource Officer, is the Chief Sales Officer, everything they do. There's no clarity in some of these things. So these are some of the pitfalls. So you have to be mindful of all this and take reference from NNC and learn from some of this. Okay, I don't talk too long.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Mr. Kong. Thank you very much. So, but I think it doesn't mean that family business could not learn from the MNC. Yeah, because I think there's a clear trend that now family business in Vietnam, they also have a great plan in terms of go global and do a business with a lot of MNC.
Maybe one thing I want to note of is a lot of interaction when I have with SMEs, business owner. After knowing me, they actually tell me to bring their children or son into the MNC, my organization. Yeah. They actually want me to bring them into the organization, get to learn the culture, get to understand the MNC for the next few years, then they bring them back to their organization. And that is one of the programs that my company does as well. We bring some of the people in, get them have the exposure to MNC so that they can bring some of the best practices out into the SMEs. Okay, anyway, what I'm saying is that MNC has some good learning. But MNC, our organization, also learn from SME also. In terms of the speed to making business decisions, I say sometimes the family business is so much faster than MNC. For MNC, sometimes I want to make a decision, I have to go through my regional got to go through the global got to do a board meeting, comes back here, comes back down. So they are both learning from each side. I wouldn't say MNC is up here, you all got to learn all from us. We also have to learn from all the business owners out there.
Well, family business, the name itself already create a lot of dynamic families. When you have father, mother, and the son, daughter, so actually create some sort of blood relationship, and sometimes it's very complicated. You can tell people from outside your business, to do this, to do that, but sometimes with your kid, it's not that easy. So Alan, now my question to you is also with regards to the family members. Managing expectation for the family members' involvement with the business has been always a challenging job. So what is your advice in terms of the practical framework, how the family members in the family business could actually manage each other's expectation?
I was referring this morning about the storytelling, where are we coming from, the past, and where are we going to, the future. And it's important that F2, F3 represent that story. In terms of technical, practical advice, I should recommend that F2, F3, when you want to change the company, transform the company, that you focus on the two key dimensions. Change on one side, no change on the other side. In many organizations, F2, F3 are focusing too much on change management. What do we need to change to succeed tomorrow? And they forget to clarify and to consolidate, to solidify the no change dimension. If we want to succeed tomorrow, we don't need to change everything. Some parts of the business need to be changed, but probably the DNA of the company, the roots of the company, the values of the company, the purpose of the company will remain the same. So my recommendation, simple recommendation, when you want to present And when you want to defend a transformation project, clarify what do we need to change to succeed tomorrow, what do we need to keep to succeed tomorrow. Change and no change. Change management is also communication on no change. Some people of the organization will be excited by the change part. Some other senior will be reassured by the no change because they see that not everything is changing. So that simple 2-column exercise to succeed tomorrow, what do we need to change on one side? What do we want to keep on the other side? Protect what we want to keep and then accept to change all other things. That's my recommendation.
Thank you, Alan. My insight that sometimes it involves the cultural difference as well. In Vietnam or Asian country, I'm telling you from also my experience as well. Not easy to sit down with your parents and say this is what I want to change. This is what should change. So, do you think that there should be some sort of very formal communication, framework within the family or the business?
Yes, of course, the first quality of F2, F3 is empathy. Empathy means connecting with the feeling of F1. The owners, the founders, they feel anxious, nervous, so you have to show that you understand and you connect with those feelings. Showing empathy is key. If you don't show that you listen to the feelings and you connect with the feelings, you feel as that you will be disconnected from the senior generation. So empathy is key. But with empathy then, you can explain your project. But your project must be charismatic. You don't need to lead an intellectual project. Of course, we need a business plan, a strategic plan. But the successful projects of the future are charismatic projects. Because I told you this morning, intelligence is not contagious. If you want to influence your parents, show the passion, show your enthusiasm. Emotions, feelings are contagious, and there you can impact the first generation.
Thank you. Nick, you have any comments on that?
The one thing that comes to mind, just adding to Alan's thoughts, is the wonderful opportunity that data gives us today, and in particular, something I myself have learned personally, professionally, is having an evidence-based approach. There is nothing better than going to F1 with saying, we've got this big idea, this is exactly what we're thinking. Even better, we've already talked to these people, this is where the opportunities are. And so I think, as Alan was saying, if you can bring that empathy, keep focused on that continuity of that family narrative, but also bring in that evidence-based approach with that energy to bring it to life, I feel that's really probably even more important in family business. So as you're removing the emotions and you're actually able to collectively say, wow, there's something special here, maybe we should look more.
Yeah, thank you.
To add on this point about the communication between the F1 and F2, do you realize that there may be something that our Asian country can actually learn from the Western country? Western country, when they talk, when they communicate, they are very open, direct. They talk about a lot of things. But do you realize in Asia country, a lot of time you check out some of the companies, they don't have a clear succession plan, as in they don't know who is going to be the next successor. They don't know who is going to be the one taking this majority share or whoever. You realize this is part of the Asia. We tend not to want to talk about it. I give you an example. I'm in the financial service, insurance service. Day in, day out, we talk to people about planning when you die, when you pass away. How should you be apportioning your asset? What are the insurance that protect some of these things? We talk about all these things. Day in, day out, we talk to our customer. But for myself, I come from Asian country, I come from Singapore. My father is in the 80 plus years old. Okay, in Singapore he has quite a few assets because he runs a family business. I didn't succeed him. He has quite a few assets, he has many houses, he has quite a lot of share in a lot of companies. But till now, I don't know what's going to happen when he passes on. Because I don't dare to bring up the topic, Father, when you pass on, what's going to happen? It's just in us. It's just in us as an Asian. I don't know. I think many of you will concur with me that it's always like a taboo to bring out such a topic to talk about it openly. So I think it's important to have such a very open, direct communication and have clarity. Is there any political figure in this forum? Oh, then maybe I quote one example. I hope Singapore government won't come after me. We have the founding father. I'm sure you know who. Our founding father of Singapore. I don't want to spell the name. Everything was peaceful. The first family, the prime minister, the family was peaceful when he was around. The moment he passes on, you all are aware of the famous case, the fight between the current prime minister and his brother. Okay, this is open, everybody knows it. Why? Because nobody is very, very clear with what is the intention or what they want to do with that house. So what? Because it wasn't made very, very clear before the whole passing on. Everybody starts second guessing. What was really his intention? That's when conflict really starts. So take reference, always be mindful. Asia, us, we always have this issue when it comes to communication. There are a lot of topics, a lot of taboo that we don't dare or don't want to bring up or we avoid bringing up. And that causes issues and problems.
So you're suggesting that there should be some sort of very clear, communicated, succession planning, like writing on the paper. What went wrong. What will go wrong if the first generation pass away. Who's going to take care of what. Yeah. So on that note, Thuy, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think that when we look at I think trying to keep the children next to the parents, and especially it is quite good in family business. It is exactly what Alan mentioned. It is a DNA. It is a story of how the fathers or the grandfather build that business. And we did see that sometimes the kids, when they leave abroad for too long, when they came back, and all they want is that, okay, I will adopt this really modern Western approach. And the communication most of the time was a completely mismatch and not on the same wavelength. Because we are Asian, a lot of things that we don't want to call a spade, and we beat around the bush. The children want just to go heads on and say this is what we should do. And then that creates a lot of problems in the transition between the two generations. So that's why I think we hope that if they can have more time with the parents, understand also, I think it's the rationale, the story, the reason that why the business has been built that way. They can focus more on the not to change. And if you can focus on that, I believe that the F1 generation is going to be much, much more relieved and have confidence in passing the baton to the next generation. And I think it is extremely important.
Well, I think to be fair, because I'm also the third generation of my family in finance as well. To be fair, sometimes the parents should go and talk to the children as well. Don't just sit there and wait them to approach us, right? Because I talked to few guests here. They also mentioned that they actually want to change as well, so that they can be more adapt to their kids.
I think that and that's a tool, a methodology that I'm using when I'm coaching family business, because sometimes when there is a conflict of generation, the role of the coach as a mentor, external view, neutral view, less emotional impact is important for the owners of the company. So I always propose that simple, stupid exercise of 4 chairs. The first 2 chairs is this is my father, and that's you are the father and I'm the son. And so our relation is a personal relation from father to son, and we have our private personal life and private personal story. No, we change and we move and we take two other chairs and seats, and there you become my business partner and I'm a business partner. And we talk from business to business. So the fact that physically you move from the private seats to the business seats makes a change in mindset. And there we talk business. Here we are father and son, there we are business partners. You see that the fact that you can move and use the seats and the chairs to really make it physical. Otherwise, people never separate the person and the function. The person is the father. The function is the business partner.
Yeah.
So it's the same in the business. If you want to challenge and stretch and challenge your employees, separate the person, respect the person. Thank you to be loyal for the company. Thank you for your loyalty for the last 10 years. But no, I would like to challenge and stretch the performer, the function. Anne, the translator, is a nice person, but I need to challenge her as a performer. So separate the person and the function, and then it will facilitate the relation and the connection.
That's a very excellent advice, Alan. Thank you very much. I believe that a lot of families here can bring on that example home and then try to exercise it. Now, with Nick, the question, this is my last question before I hand it over to the audience. What is the most critical change that family business must make to face the future effectively?
I think the most critical change, and I think this applies at the individual level, leadership level, business level, is learning how to learn. In the video, we didn't get to focus on it, but one of the things we know is that when we learn new skills today, sometimes they're only remaining relevant for as little as 2 to 3 years. And so the most important thing anybody can do, I feel, is to get comfortable learning how to learn and think differently and be open. So just having that ability to have that moment, as you said, and say, I need to just check. I've always done it this way. I need to just pause and reflect. Maybe I do need to think differently. 20 years later, this completely changes the way, but it's time. So I think learning how to learn, I would say, is the most critical thing that we all need to do with each other.
When you say we all need to do, is mean like from the parents, also have to learn, the children have to learn together, or?
Absolutely,
Okay.
right down to little toddlers going to nursery school, helping them get comfortable experimenting, understanding that we can fail first but learn faster, getting comfortable, like Alan was talking about, being able to give very empathic feedback and working together. I mean, to me, that relates right across generations, professions, businesses.
Thank you, Nick. So now I hand on to the audience. Do you have any question to our panelists here? Yes, please.
Good morning. Can each of you please tell a story of one time your children actually got you to change your mind, and reflect on why did you change your mind? Thank you.
Few years ahead of you, do you want to try something completely new? And trying, is it a sin? Actually, it is not. And now I know that she has a very good safety net, which is me behind her. And why not just give her a chance to experiment it and to live the kind of dream that maybe I don't quite believe in it, but that is something that I would like to support. And I changed my mind. And I think that my daughter has been able to enjoy it. And I did see how happy she was when she could do the thing that she believed in and believe with passion. And I think that that's what, now for me, I'm convinced that I have made the right decision.
Thank you. Well, I think since time is limited, I got one question from audience, and this is for for Alan. The question is how to motivate the second generation as they don't have ambitious hunger for money or family business. Very interesting question. I think very common to a lot of families now.
Yes, yes, that refers to the why do I do what I do. And I did mention this morning the importance of being intelligent, being smart, being emotional, but also the spiritual quotient, the spiritual dimension is key. And we have to respect why people, individuals, F2, F3 do things what they do. Maybe my main motivation as F1 was success, performance, money, results. And maybe the F2, F3 objective, the sense for them, the future sense, is creativity, innovation, transformation, change, and we have to respect that. And again, it's all about, family business, the key issue is the emotional factor. The emotional factor is key, because the intensity of the feelings between the founder, the F2, F3, and the business are very strong. And we have to listen as F1, F2, what the next generation wants to realize, and even if they are not obsessed by results and money, if they are addicted to progress, for me that's the key element. So what I expect from my son and from the next generation is that show that you are able to learn, continuous improvement, open your mind, be curious, and the result, the money, the success will be the consequence. In the past, maybe the result and the success and the money was the first objective. For F2, F3, maybe it's a consequence of innovation, creativity, passion, and enthusiasm.
Just to add on, your point, because as an expert in family business, there is a theory we call three circle, and I believe that Internet Fat also apply that. So in that three circle, as a business leader or the owner of business, you need to look at your next generation in terms of what circle you put your kids into. Because there are three circles. The first circle is what we call business owner circle. So basically you're going to be the next people to inherit the assets of the business. The second circle is leadership. So to lead the business. And the third circle, which is family members. So to be a very happy son and daughter. I think the most area where the parents want to put the second generation in is in the middle, where the three circle at the same time. You're gonna be very nice and very good boy, girls, and then you also take on the business, carry on all kind of legacy of the business, and also be a successful owner as well. But from time to time, the kids doesn't want to be like that. So we need to really smart and very selective in terms of which box you need to put your kids into as well. That's my experience. Yeah. You want to share the last?
Maybe I put some simple analogy across. How will a person be hungry or want to work hard to earn his food when he open up his fridge and he knows inside the fridge there are a lot of food inside there? I've seen a lot of family business where the children at young is already aware these are the big fortune that will be coming to me when I'm 18 years old, when I'm 21 years old. These will all come naturally my way. I don't really have to work that hard to get to all this food. So F1, the founders, be mindful of this. Make sure your children is always hungry and work hard towards earning his rights. For me, I have 3 children, 10, 9, and 2 years old. You'll be surprised because I have some property here, Singapore, and in other countries. My son was saying, hey, if you pass on, will I get your property? If I tell him, yes, you get it, you will look, you observe him. He knows all this will be coming his way years to come. Will he work hard? He will never work hard. So I already told him, this will all go to charity, for sure. But maybe when it comes, I wouldn't bear to give to charity, I'll give it to him. But this is my training for him right now. I will never tell him these are for you. So same thing, be mindful of this track. Don't make it too comfortable for them. When a person grows up too comfortable, thinking all these things will come their way, no way you can make them work hard, for sure.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, the panelists, for your very helpful insight and advice to the audience. So I wish you best of luck and very healthy and successful in the future. Yeah, thank you.